what is elaboration likelihood model?
The elaboration likelihood model is a theory of persuasion that suggests there are two different ways of people can be persuaded of something, depending on how invested they are in a topic. When people are strongly motivated and have time to think over a decision, persuasion occurs through a central route, in which they carefully weigh the pros and cons of their choice. However, when people are rushed of a decision is less important to them, they tend to be more easily persuaded by the peripheral routes, that is, by features that can be more tangible to the decision at hand.
Imagine that you are in a school and the school has brought in two speakers to talk about an issue that might cause controversy. Maybe it's about stopping the sale of the junk food on the campus. So you have one speaker who is supporting this policy and one who is arguing against it. How you as a listener evaluate the message of these two speakers? There are three main characteristics that seems to have an impact on how we are persuaded for or against a certain message. The first one is message characteristic. These are features of the message itself. For example, was the argument logical? Did it have any key points? So, message characteristics include how well thought out the actual message is, but it also includes other aspects of the message like how well written it was. Does the speaker seems to have a good grasp of the rules of grammar? Did they use the appropriate vocabulary? When we are paying attention to message itself, we also pay attention to the environment around us. These source characteristics. Let's take a moment to think about our two speakers, what their level of expertise for the topic they are discussing. To them seems knowledgeable. To them seems trustworthy. We can pay attention to physical environment where the speakers come from and also the venue that the speaker is currently in. Is this talk taking place on the campus of the school or less formal setting outside of it, like a bar? The third characteristic, how we perceive a message, is target characteristic. These are the characteristic of the listener who is receiving the message. So, in the example here, that will be the characteristic that you bring to the table. Are you in a good mood or are you in a bad mood? Do you have high or low self-esteem? Target characteristic include everything about the listener, from how intelligent they are to whether they have had enough to eat that day. These are all things that can influence how we attend to and receive a message. All these characteristics, but especially the target characteristic, play an important role in the elaboration likelihood model, which is a model that tries to explain how our attitudes are formed and how they can be changed. When the speaker get up and started to give presentation, we don't just want to know what characteristic people pay attention to in their talk. We want to know how do we evaluate the speaker's message? How do we come to be persuaded or not persuaded by what they have to say? According to the elaboration likelihood model, we process information along two possible paths.
Referred to the central route to persuasion. We are more likely to be convinced via the middle route when elaboration is higher. In the middle way, we are carefully consider the merits of the argument and the benefit of the drawback of the topic. In essence, the primary approach is to exercise critical judgment and also seeking to arrive at the best choice. The second is the peripheral route to the persuasion. We are more susceptible to be persuaded through the peripheral pathway when elaboration is minimal. When we take the peripheral route, we are more prone to be swayed by the signs that have little things to do with the problem at hand. For instance, we might be convinced to purchase a product because of the well-known or alluring spokesperson is shown using it. So how do these two paths differ in the regards of the actual attitude change? High motivation leads to deep processing of the information, which then serves to persuade us towards a message, possibly creating a lasting attitude change. Those along the peripheral routes might also change their attitude, but if they do, it will be temporary. It's likely to fade over the time or successfully acted in the future argument. So while they might be persuaded by the speaker at the moment, they probably won't stay persuaded for long.